Hi, this is Janey Imaani and welcome to Emotional Awareness. So in last week's episode, we spoke about how it's natural to have anxiety because there are so many aspects of life that are uncertain. And so anxiety is really the most normal response to the vulnerability of life. But sometimes we have this debilitating anxiety that can feel so crippling. And so what we're going to do in today's session is look at some of the ways that we can sort of lower that severe level of anxiety. So the first thing that we can do is speak anxiety, give it words, because what we hold inside can make us sick. And I see this in my private practice all the time. People come with sort of severe anxiety and they worry that they might fall into depression. And so I give them a space to speak freely, and it doesn't take much, like it only takes a couple of sessions before their deep level of anxiety really goes down. And it always surprises me because I think, how is it that, all I did was just give them a space to talk freely and all of a sudden they have much less tension than they did before. And so when we hear ourselves speak, it really works because often things are never as bad as we thought they were, and also if they are, we have way more resources to be able to handle it than we originally thought. And so the other reason why I think it works is because we process our thoughts through speech. Otherwise it's just sort of this big mental mess in our mind. And so when you hear yourself speak, you can sort of sort it out more clearly and more neatly. So the first thing you want to do is to see if you can find somebody to speak to. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional. It could be somebody who knows how to listen. Sometimes that's hard to find. And so if you can't find that, then see if you could, journal it or write it out, because that can really do wonders as well. Okay, the second thing you want to do is lay out in detail what you have anxiety about. And we call this anxiety setting or fear setting, because remember, your anxiety comes from your fears. And so in fear setting, it's just like goal setting, where they always tell you, for you to achieve your goals, it has to be measurable and it has to be specific. And the same goes for fear setting as well. Until you clearly define them, you're probably not going to be able to overcome them either. So you'll have three columns, right? So the first one is to define. So that's where you clearly define the thing that you are scared about. So perhaps you're scared about losing your job or not being able to pay your mortgage or rent. And in the second column, you have prevent. So that's where you talk about the preventive measures that you will take in order to stop this from happening or prevent this from happening. So you might say, making sure that I deliver my work on time, making sure I keep my promises to my boss, or having an emergency fund, right? So that you have something to fall back on if you did lose your job. Okay, so in the third column, you want to write down repair. So this is where you talk about how you will overcome this potential dilemma. And so you might write down, fix my resume so it's ready, or look at the current job market to see what's available. And so here what you're doing is recognizing that you have a lot more options than you originally thought. So you're sort of mapping out your worst case scenario and you're imagining how you could possibly handle it. Because remember, that's your greatest fear, that you're scared that you won't be able to handle the misfortune that comes your way. And so the best thing that you can do for yourself is really build yourself enough so that you can handle adversity. Okay, so let's take another example, because sometimes our anxiety comes from intangible places, like the fear of failure or rejection. So for me, when I wanted to start this YouTube channel, I really had to sort of go through the steps and do this fear setting exercise. So the first one, define it. What was my fear? Public humiliation or public rejection? Because, when you're creating content online, there's always a possibility that something can go viral in a very negative way. Okay, so the next column, prevent. How will I prevent it? By making sure that I am talking about the things that I believe in, that I believe to be true, and they're as honest and grounded as that I can make them. So in the third column, repair. How will I repair it? I will have to do a lot of self-reflection to see if I did make a mistake, because if I did, then I will have to apologize, and if I didn't, then I will have to stand by it. So these examples that I gave you, we only took a couple of seconds, but try to see if you can take like a good 15-20 minutes on it, because recognizing what your fears are and how to overcome them can really change the direction that you take your life in. So when we follow the trail of our anxiety, what we find out is that we really do have what it takes to survive the thing that we're most afraid of. And that's really what the whole fear setting thing is about. Okay, so let's do the last two episodes in a nutshell. Life is uncertain, so anxiety is appropriate. But when we clearly define what we are anxious about, we realize that although life is challenging, we are more strong than life is hard. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.